Today, Kevin's going to be making some homemade ice cream. This is from the Golden Girls Cookbook. Ashley bought this for me, and this looks absolutely delicious. This is Cherry Cheesecake Ice Cream, and this is a picture of it. And what sold me on this is, honestly, the picture sold me because it has graham cracker in the ice cream, and I just thought it looked phenomenal. So Kevin is going to make it for us. So what all do we need?
Okay, so we need a half a cup of frozen dark cherries, 6 ounces of cream cheese, there, a half cup of sour cream, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, just vanilla, 2 cups of whole milk, a half a cup of sugar, 1 large pinch of salt, and 3 large eggs. That's just for the ice cream itself. And then for the crumble, the graham cracker stir-ins, you need 4 whole graham crackers. So we're just using Nabisco grams, and there's 4 crackers in there. And you need 2 tablespoons of butter, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1.5 tablespoons of melted butter, and a large pinch of fine salt. So I'm going to get stuff measured. This is everything that's going to be in there. I'm going to get everything measured out the way it needs to be measured, and I'll be right back. All right, we've chopped our frozen cherries into quarters, and that's just the half a cup. And we're going to put the lid on this and put it back in the freezer. All right, so I've got a 2-quart saucepan ready to go. I've got my egg yolks beat in a bowl that holds about a cup of liquid, because you're going to be mixing it in some of the liquid in here. So just make sure it holds at least like a 2-cup bowl to mix it in. Then I've got the bowl I'm going to store it in the freezer in. I went ahead and cut my cream cheese into 8 sections, and I've got it in the bowl I'm going to store it in, and that's just sitting there. So now the first thing I want to do is turn my heat on to medium, and we're going to get our milk and my salt and sugar in here. And I just put it all in one bowl. And basically we're going to let this go until it just starts to steam. So it'll be just a few minutes. All right, it's just started to steam up a little bit. So I've just got a measuring cup because I hate to pour this because I would just make a mess. You basically want 1/4 of a cup of this milk mixture in your eggs. And we're going to whisk it really good. And then once it's combined really well, I'm going to add another half a cup of the milk mixture in here. But you got to do it while you're whisking, because you don't want it to scramble your eggs. And you could pour it in here. It doesn't have to be an exact science, but like I said, I don't like to pour it because I end up making a mess. Okay, now we're going to add this back in and just stir it. And basically it's going to take, leave it on medium heat, and it's going to take about 10 minutes to thicken up. You got to be really careful. Watch the sides and the bottom, because it will stick and burn really quickly. Okay, the custard's ready, and basically you get it to where it's about 185 degrees and where it coats the back of a metal spoon. So I'm just going to pour this over this cream cheese. And we're going to let it set for 2 to 3 minutes, and I'll be back. Okay, it's been about 3 minutes, and it just says basically whisk it until it's all mixed in. And it is melting down and getting flatter, so that's good. I was worried it was going to be clumpy. So I'm going to add my vanilla. And I'm going to add my sour cream as well, but I want to make sure that cream cheese is really good and whisked in. So I have my cream cheese, and I'm in my sour cream, but then I'm going to whisk it really good anyway, so anything else that's in there, hopefully I'll get. I think that's pretty well combined. So now the last step is we're going to take plastic and you want to cover it up, but you're going to make it touch the surface. Now this has to go in the refrigerator until it's cool. Okay, so while my custard basically is cooling in the refrigerator, I'm going to go ahead and make the mix in, the graham cracker part. So I've got my graham crackers, I've got my 2 tablespoons of sugar, and I've got my 1.5 tablespoons of melted butter, and a large pinch of salt is in this thing, this little bowl with the sugar. And basically you're going to put this in a food processor, and you're going to mix it or grind it up or process it until it is finely ground out. Your oven is going to be on 350, so preheat your oven to 350. Go ahead and pour all this stuff in there together. So I've got a pan. You can do a cookie sheet or baking sheet, whatever. I just got basically a cookie pan. A cake pan. And I'm going to put this in there. They said to make a 6-inch disc, and this is like an 8-inch or 9-inch cake pan, so I figured that'd be big enough. So you just want to flatten it out in here. So get it into your pan, flatten it out, and then we're going to bake it. So I'm going to bake this for like 12 minutes, and I'll be back. Okay, so here it is out of the oven. I left it in there 12 minutes. You have to cool it on the counter, and then you take pan and all and stick in the freezer because you want it to be cold and solid. So that's what we're going to do once it's cooled off. Okay, my mixture is completely cooled, so I'm not going to do it right here. I'm going to do it over the sink, but I'm going to take the plastic off, pour it in my ice cream container. This is our old 1960s ice cream freezer container with the lid and the paddle. So I'm going to get it poured in here and then put it in, and I'll show you the next steps outside. All right, it's turning. Let me get my huge bag of ice here. Cold. Okay, my ice cream is churned. It's sitting in the sink because it's wet and salty. So I'm going to take the cherries, and they're still frozen, so I'm going to just dump this in there. And then I'm going to leave that on the bottom of a big bowl, just enough to hold your ice cream and everything in. I think this is big enough. Let me dump my ice cream in here. I'll be back. Okay, my ice cream is actually firmer than I would have liked it, so I'm kind of cutting it up a little bit because you have to fold this in. But I'm going to take this while that's cooling off, and you really want this to be broken into like hunks, like pieces.
In the picture in the book, it looks like they molded it into a ball and put it on a plate.
I think it was just from the ice cream scoop.
Oh. Because it looked like they took the whole thing. This is what it looks like.
Yeah, that's just from the scoop.
Yeah. But I like the look of it. It looks really good. So I thought maybe you set it on a plate like that.
It said pea-sized pieces, so I'm trying to break up the bigger pieces.
Oh, and Kevin wanted to tell you too, this did not make near as much ice cream as
that big churn.
Right. So if you want to make, you could double this recipe and put a cup of cherries, just double everything. If you want to make more ice cream. So like we did a recipe on YouTube of like banana. We've done homemade banana ice cream. Normally we get like a whole container for it.
I think it's like 3 cups of cream and stuff. I'm just going to sprinkle this over the top and then I'm going to mix it in. Hopefully I can mix it in. Now, normally, this is not how I mix in stuff. Normally, I would mix in stuff in the ice cream churn, like right before it's done. But I don't know that I could have done that this time because it was so firm. So basically just mix in all this stuff in your ice cream. And once you get it mixed in, you're going to cover it, put it back in the freezer, and let it freeze for at least 2 hours. You don't want it to go, you want it to be good and firm. It'll probably come out of the freezer at that time like rock hard. So you just set it in the refrigerator for a little while, or you let it sit at room temperature for 5 or 10 minutes just to let it soften up a little bit. So I'm just going to churn or stir this up a little bit until it's kind of mixed in pretty decently, and then we'll put it in the freezer.
This has been in the freezer overnight, and we've only had it laying out for about 10 minutes. When you make homemade ice cream, that's something that you should know. It gets rock hard in the freezer.
And I can just say, we could have tried it last night when I was doing the mixing, to mix in all that stuff. We could have tried it then, and I think it would have been fine. I don't know why it said to keep it in the freezer for at least 2 hours.
Normally, with homemade ice cream, we always eat it immediately when it's finished. But we were just trying to go by their directions, and their directions said to freeze it overnight. You totally do not need to do that. And that's one of the changes that when I write down notes on this recipe right here, I'll write down on here that it only makes like half, and that we can eat it immediately and not freeze it. But it looks delicious.
Does look good.
So now we're gonna go give it a try. So for this recipe, it says, get that ice cream maker ready to churn. This sweet treat rolls 2 of the girls' favorites into one. Rich cheesecake-inspired ice cream studded with luscious cherries and bits of graham cracker crunchies. And truly, that is what, when I saw ice cream with graham cracker and just that different texture, I thought, we have to make this. So I do wish we tried it last night when it was right out of the ice cream maker.
It softened up good. So,
yeah.
The amount it makes though, the volume it makes, is probably a perfect amount for like a countertop ice cream maker. So if you didn't want to get out the big ice and all that stuff, you could probably, that's a good amount to put into a kitchen counter version.
That really does taste like cheesecake.
It does, it's good. Yeah, the graham cracker adds it.
And the graham cracker makes it taste just like a classic cheesecake. And the cherry adds texture.
Yeah, don't go on.
I wouldn't say that the cherry is a strong flavor.
No, I wish there was more of them.
And you could totally put more, you know, if you're buying a bag anyway, then you could put more. But when you're making a recipe for the first time, I think it's always nice to follow their directions. Give their directions a chance, do everything like they say, and then from then on, you know to modify it for your life and for your family and the way you like to eat. So, although to look at it, visually it has plenty of cherries.
It's just not a very strong flavor. The graham cracker did get a little soggy in some spots. That's why I think it would have been even better last night when we first mixed it in, because it wouldn't have had time to soak in and get crispy, kind of like our soggy, just like cereal and milk. You know, if you do it right then, it's still going to be crispy. I did get some bigger hunks of graham. I got a couple bites of the bigger pieces. They're really good because they're crispy and they're like buttery. Right. The ones that turned to more of a powdery feel, they didn't. They're kind of soggy. Right. They still have the same flavor, but they don't have crispness to it anymore.
So that would be our recommendation. If you make this, eat it immediately.
Yeah, mix it in, eat it.
And then eat it. Just know if you want to add, if you want to double that recipe, don't be afraid to double the recipe.
Yeah,
if you have a larger ice cream maker like we do. But I do think it's a really good recipe,
yeah,
and I really do like the addition of the graham cracker, and it really does taste like cheesecake.
It does have a cheesecake flavor.
Yes. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.